said you hired someone, your acquisition manager from another company. What was that process like? And, especially being virtual, what are some good tips on making sure you hire the right person?
Well, they were local, so he was in the living room already. So the owners were out of state, and they decided to move into our market and brought him on. I think as far as hiring goes in general, that's I'm still learning that process. I think the best advice I could give is spend the upfront time to make sure you have the right person, which, you know, I like to look at how does their personal life fit my business. So, like, what goals do they have in their life where we can benefit mutually by me helping them get to those goals? And I think that's a great way to find a fit for the right person, making sure they have the right personality. So doing disc assessment tests and things like that, and ultimately getting more than a handful of referrals and actually following up with those referrals and not just looking at them. But there's a whole process, like what kind of questions you're going to ask, how many times are you going to interview the person, how many people are you going to interview, where are you going to try to find that position. All that is still a learning curve for me. So every time, um, it's not with sales, but looking for different VAs and hiring and starting from scratch, just learning a little bit and then implementing a little bit. And my process is far from perfect. And my last hire was my assistant, and that went a lot smoother than the years prior trying to hire virtual assistants.
What are some of the goals that you look for? You mentioned that you look for, maybe some goals that they have, the common goals, so it can be aligned. What are some of them that you look for? Is it like financial or something else?
It could be financial. It could be, yeah, I want to travel to Denver for 3 months. Okay, well, can this business help you do that? Or like it can, and that might sound crazy, but the idea is if you can align with someone and their goals, their life goals, they could be life, it could be business, it could be life, it could be a combination of the two, then ultimately they're gonna put their best forward for you, working for you because you're interested in help seeing them succeed not only financially but personally. And I think
Hmm.
that's the most important thing. I was an HR major. I don't know if I remember anything from HR, but I love the guy Kerwin Ray, and he talks about culture a lot. So basically, you need to create a culture for growth, personally, financially, and open up the door for continued education, personally and financially, being involved in their lives, because that requires a lot of coaching sometimes on the mindset, which can stem from personal problems. So the mindset's the biggest one, and having those goals and having that vision aligned can help you bring that mindset back on.
And are you having them do some sort of coaching or training, like, to build culture in your company? That's something that I struggle with. I'm curious, I guess, if there's something that you do proactively to keep building culture in your company.
Well, right now, our schedule is pretty full Monday through Friday, but there is, so I do have in our contracts that we will pay for continued education. For our acquisitions, like if they want to do continued training, we can bring them into the John Martinez training, REI Sales Academy. But the idea is for me to step into the role of the leader. I used to also coach. I love coaching. And so being in that leadership role allows me to have a coaching or leadership role where I would, our system for auditing calls or auditing our workflow or auditing tasks allows me to coach through those processes. So that there isn't necessarily further education, but it is, and we have. I mean, we want to grow in terms of being more efficient. So I have to take what I'm learning. So I'm constantly learning myself, and then the implementation of what I learned, I share with my team, and then we implement, and that's how we're able to grow and build on those processes.
And do you have any VAs in your team or not anymore?
Not anymore. I had two and a half VAs. I had a part-time VA that helped with admin, and then I had two full-time VAs, one acting as a lead manager. She also did some admin stuff. And I had someone else who managed our launch control account. But it made the most sense for me being away because I'm also trying to build a rental portfolio again. I sold all my rentals before I moved. But I needed boots on the ground in Rochester. And so I basically got rid of the two VAs, brought on the full-time executive assistant, and not doing texting anymore. That relieved a big role. And so my EA, she's also our a lead manager in Resimply, and then she helps with the rentals and basically helps keep the business going.
And then when you did have the VAs, what was the best, if we're looking to hire a new VA for my real estate investing business, what's the best advice you would give someone who's looking to hire a VA Philippines?
I don't know if this is good advice, but learn how to fire fast.
Hire slow, fire fast.
Yeah. That's the biggest problem I had, and here's why. I could always find a problem with my VA stemmed from a problem from me. And it stems from bad processes or bad communication or bad coaching. So like, at what point do you draw the line where this is, from you recognizing your own mistakes or this person just not performing? That was a very difficult line for me to draw, to be honest with you. I think I still struggle with that a little bit.
There's a question from Evgenia. I hope I'm saying your name correctly. Where do you find your employees? How do you find boots on the ground who actually go and see houses?
So I used Indeed once. I decided it wasn't even the right time to hire an acquisition manager, but I posted a job role to see what was going to happen. Probably because I was banging my head up against the wall working too much. And I used Indeed. I probably spent like $1,000 on applications on Indeed, and I got nothing. So when I hired my EA, I just used LinkedIn. I just started posting that job on LinkedIn, and it was free. I didn't even pay for their paid subscription, and I probably had between 15 and 18 people interested in that job, and I did 3 interviews and then hired one person out of those 3. So LinkedIn was huge, and I'm not even active on LinkedIn, but I was very surprised at the amount of people who responded to that job post.
Yeah, we've used Indeed. I think the 2 people that we hired, and simply we found them both through Indeed. Yeah, it can be hit or miss with Indeed, but I've heard LinkedIn is a really good source. I was gonna say, if you're looking for on Philippines, we've had really good success with onlinejobs.ph.
That's what I was just gonna say.
Okay.
So Fiverr and Upwork, it was very difficult to. I felt like I spun my wheels a lot trying to find the right person. But yeah, Online Jobs PH did a better job of bringing me people that I would be more likely to interview. So yeah, I just definitely subscribe and you can use.
Yeah, and one thing we do, especially if it's an admin role, is to make sure they actually read the ad. And it's especially if it's an admin role, we want the person to be detail oriented. The last line of the job posting will put something like, hey, if you're interested, reply back and put this in a subject line. Like, for example, I'm awesome. If they don't do that, we immediately disqualify them, because if they didn't even read the entire job post and didn't reply back with that, then we just disqualify them right away.
Yeah, that's a great point. Actually, I try to make it so difficult that no one replies to me.
Maybe that's my problem, because I've wasted so much time trying to hire people. We'll do the same thing, but I make them, so I get very specific. They have to write like almost like a certain amount of words, 1 paragraph, and then they send that out in an email, and then there's 3 steps that they have to take to get interviewed, and then one of them is the email. I can't remember what the second one was, and the last one was filling out the DISC assessment and then sending that in.
Yeah, and when we hire in Philippines, we also ask for a video. Yeah, that they must send a video. If they don't, with the right subject line, we disqualify them. Yeah. And second part of the question, how do you find boots on the ground who actually go and see houses?
So I just used Facebook.
Oh, that's a good one.
That's actually a really good question, because when I went virtual, so I used to flip houses. So I don't know how people do this, but I can't confidently put my best foot forward unless I see a home. So that was the biggest one for me. Maybe there's a better process that some of you guys have that might have worked, but I needed to find boots on the ground. And so I ended up just posting on Facebook, and then I had found a retired flipper, and he's still young, and he had a rental portfolio, and he just likes to work. So I paid him between $75 and $100 per appointment, and he would go out and take photos for me, and then I would review those photos and present my offer to the seller using those photos. And also he had a construction background, so he was, was
that's
able
good.
to give me a good overview of the property condition to be able to make it a solid offer.
Yeah, we've had luck finding people on Craigslist is one, and second is like a new real estate agent. They're already in the game. They're keen to go out and take pictures and stuff, and then we'll pay them per house. like depending on, I mean, we're in a very small area, so they're not driving much. We'll pay them for gas also, plus per appointment.
I think the biggest mistake that I used to make is like, I'm not a detailed person, but I try to be somewhat structured. Like I would post, but it'd be way too much information in a post. So like keep it vague.
That scared people away.
Yeah, you want to. It's like a sales pitch. You want to sell people, so it's got to be vague. It's got to be intriguing. There has to be a hook. There has to be a call to action, but it can't be a page long. Either.
Right. Yeah, I agree. Yeah, no, we had good luck finding someone on Craigslist, but it was very simple. Hey, we need someone to go out. We're local house flipping company. We need someone to go out, take pictures of the houses we're flipping. Just go check on the progress of these houses. Just for us, I live in San Diego. My project manager lives an hour north of me, and then my lead manager lives in Canada. So, we have a very virtual business, but we have someone like boots on the ground that we found, and that person goes out, just take pictures of the houses, and then we have specific things that we want them to make a video of the house, like front of the house, 360 degree, do all that stuff, and then it's just like it's a very simple process. Now we give them a link of like for each property from Recently, shareable link. They just go and upload their pictures there, and then they're done. They don't have to talk to contractors. They don't have to like mention anything to them. Hey, can you do this? Can you do that? All they're doing is just independently going out and taking pictures, and it's been huge. And I think when we have projects going on, maybe we pay like $100-$250 a week just for someone to go out. So very reasonable. If that person is happy, they can do it at their own schedule. It's not a fixed time. That it just like the only thing we ask is there's daylight outside. That's the only thing we ask for.
It's really easy money. I mean, if depending on what market it is, like I mean, there was a point where real estate agents needed to make a little extra money. I mean, for working less than part-time hours to make it between $1,000 and $1,500 a month. Like,
exactly.
I mean, I would have done it.
Yeah.
In my 20s.
Yeah, and especially when you get to do it on your own schedule, they could be running some ads and say like, oh, I'll just stop by this house and take some pictures and videos. That's kind of what we offer. The only thing we ask is there's daylight outside to get good lighting of the picture for the pictures. That's pretty much it. Yeah, but yeah, Craigslist for us, and then real estate agents is what's worked for us. I mean, I'm so out of my business. Like Claudia, my project manager, she's been with me for 7 years. I found her through Craigslist, so she manages everything. And I know the first person we found boots on the ground, she found through Craigslist also.
Yeah, I might actually try that because we're looking for. I've never used Craigslist, but we just got so busy. We had a process we're actually going to start doing ban signs again because people stopped doing ban signs. I've actually got a whole bunch back in Rochester, but that's the next role. The problem with we're not even, I don't even know if we could call what we're doing scaling. We're scaling our processes. The problem with that is you can stack on too much at one time, and then nothing gets done well or nothing is learned well. So like we just had a new process that we wanted to implement for auctions, and I had to kill it because it was killing the processes that we're already working on. So that was another one we had to kill, but it's on the board to get back here at some point.
And then do you have any tips on, Bill has a question, how are you hiring your contractors virtually?
Since we're not doing a lot of flips, my suggestion, partnerships can be good, but they could also take you down pretty quickly if you have the wrong partnership. So me being virtually, I can share, I had helped a friend quit his job, and he was a GC, my best friend, quit a job, he's GC for a large construction company. And, we found that, with life and business, we started going in different directions. That friendship became very stressful. So partnerships can be great opportunities to work directly with contractors, but you want to make sure their level of experience is the same as yours. So if I'm 5 or 6 years into wholesaling, like I'm making consistent income, I know my KPIs, I know my marketing, I know what I want to do, what my goals in life, like that contractor needs to meet me the same place or exceed that. And so those are going to be the best partnerships. And if you don't find that person with what I just described, it could be very difficult to continue that relationship or potentially cause problems in your business. So for me, it was partnership. The guy did the flip on. We wholesaled him more than a handful of homes. I know him locally. He's been flipping longer than I've been. He's been flipping for maybe 15 years. He does 30 to 40 a year. He's never not closed on a deal. He always does what he says he's gonna do. And when I needed to flip that property, I called him and he did it. But he's, you know, way up here. I'm down here, so that worked well for my. I don't know if that answered your question, but for me, I just had to rely on partnerships. And prior to that, being local in Rochester, I flipped properties. And so I have an idea of what's required to do that and somewhat of the scope and pricing and things change like that. So I did have some experience, which helped with if there's anything work related with scope of work and things like that.
Yeah. No, I agree, man. I think for us, the best one is through referrals. If we can get from a referral from someone that we trust. But otherwise, like, when I used to live in the area, when I used to live in Chicago, we used to buy pretty much everything at Home Depot. So I'd go to the Home Depot contractor desk and ask them, hey, who are the contractors you would recommend? And they would be guys that are showing up early to the jobs, and then you want to ask people at Home Depot and ask within your network. I mean, other luck we've had is calling the local building department and asking them, hey, who is the guy that's pulling a lot of permits, who's doing a lot of jobs for other flippers in the area. They would give you some referral. And then if you're in the area, just driving around and seeing the construction company or the crew that's working and just showing up and say, hey, are you looking for more jobs, is how we've had luck. So yeah, Claudia in our company manager, she goes out once every 4 to 6 months to just like build relationship with contractors. But yeah, I mean, that's how we found out contractors.
Like one of my friends, Josh, he's actually the one who helped me move to Guatemala. He just bought his first rental, and he said he spent a lot of time up front, and he basically interviewed 3 people for every job. So if it was flooring, drywall, and that would be my suggestion for anyone doing
Absolutely.
renovation. Because if you're not doing that and finding the right people, like I said, my friend just started flipping, and that was one of the places where he struggled, was his processes dealing with contractors walking and then trying to find people to finish the job. And so yeah, that does require, or can require, a lot of time up front to even do that, which is sometimes a very difficult commitment. But I definitely suggest not skipping that part and going with the first recommendations.
Oh yeah, that could really screw up. Like